Chapter 366. The domestic entertainment industry had developed tremendously in the past 20 years. The market was getting bigger and bigger. At the same time, it had also driven the influence of stars and artists among the public to increase. Especially with the rise of the internet, the speed of information transmission was far faster than before. Blogs, forums, tieba, and other online spaces had become information gathering points, allowing ordinary people to understand all kinds of things happening in the entertainment industry. Many stars and entertainment agencies used the internet to promote and hype. Similarly, many people used this important entertainment position to attack and discredit their opponents. Lu Chen's encounter in Jeju Island, South Korea, could cause such a big impact in such a short time. There was no doubt that someone was behind it. Nowadays, the entertainment industry could be said to be a mixture of good and bad people. The industry competition was extremely fierce. Actors and singers could become famous overnight, but they could also disappear quickly. Many artists lost themselves after becoming famous. They took drugs, cheated, drove drunk, got into fights. It caused a bad impact on the public. And the relevant departments of the country also had targeted punishment for stars and artists who violated the law. That was an industry ban. For an artist, the consequences of being banned in the industry were extremely serious. Once they encountered such a punishment, they would not be able to make movies or TV shows, hold concerts, or receive advertisements, endorsements, or notices. Although it could not be said that their path to stardom was completely destroyed, it was really difficult to rise again. Especially for the new generation of stars and idols, even if the ban was only for a year and a half, it would be a devastating blow to their popularity, because there were plenty of substitutes in the industry waiting to take over. It was precisely because of this that it was very common to hype up public opinion against competitors on the internet. Originally, it was not a big matter, but after repeated hype, or even malicious rumors and smears, it often made the public develop a serious sense of disgust. For example, when Lu Chen was taken away by the South Korean police, under the circumstances that the truth was not clear, a dense number of offensive comments quickly appeared on the internet. The intention was self-evident. First of all, Lu Chen's crime could not be hidden. Once the waves of public opinion were set off, the difficulty and cost of covering up public relations would increase a big. In the end, if Lu Chen was really banned from the industry, it was estimated that many people would laugh crookedly. Lu Chen had only been in the industry for a year, but the speed at which he rose was astonishing. Although he paid attention to sharing benefits in many aspects and had a certain amount of connections in the industry, he had also provoked many opponents at the same time. No star artist can please everyone, especially an independent studio like him. While enjoying freedom, he will inevitably face more pressure. Once he was banned, the new drama that was being filmed was bound to face the danger of premature termination. Even if the male lead was replaced at the last minute, it would not be able to erase the serious negative impact. How could the competitors of the new drama, which was also going to be aired during the summer, not be happy? They definitely wouldn't mind giving him a push in the dark. Therefore, even when the new news came out and changed the direction of public opinion, there were still people who spared no effort to criticize Lu Chen, wishing that they could trample him into a pit. On the Waves blog, there was an internet celebrity named Everything is 3. He had posted 3 blog posts in a row, severely criticizing Lu Chen's behavior, arguing that the relevant authorities should ban Lu Chen. The entertainment industry is imperative. There should be stricter punishment for banned artists. Society needs positive energy, and as a public figure, celebrities should be an example, not the other way around. The tolerance and partiality of fans is precisely the root cause of celebrities repeatedly breaking the law. Beating people is beating people. Whether it's a Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, it's an unforgivable bad behavior, especially when the incident happened abroad. It's a disgrace to the Chinese people. I suggest, in the blog post, Everything is 3 had become the embodiment of justice and the law. He couldn't wait to put a big hat on Lu Chen, and his words were stern and aggressive. This internet celebrity had more than 8 million fans on the Waves blog. His blog posts were mainly comments on current affairs, and he was a self-styled social critic. He often posted some chicken soup articles, and he had a lot of fans on the internet. His blog post received the support and approval of many people and was reposted in large numbers. The reposted included a large number of internet celebrities, so it formed a lot of momentum. However, many netizens and Lu Chen's fans were very disgusted with his remarks, especially after it was revealed that Lu Chen had beaten up a Japanese. More and more people went to the "Everything is 3" comments section to fight back for Lu Chen. There were also countless netizens on Lu Chen's blog to support him. Most of these netizens were originally not Lu Chen's fans, but they were now Lu Chen's fans. As a result, two factions appeared on the internet, supporting Lu Chen and opposing Lu Chen. They started a fierce debate and quarrel on blogs, forums, and Tieba, causing a lot of noise. While the domestic public opinion was in an uproar, Lu Chen was still being questioned by the Korean police in the police station of the Wonghaitai tourist area in Jeju Island, South Korea. Due to the large number of people involved in the fight and the fact that it involved people from two different countries, the Korean police were very cautious in handling the incident. The lawyer hired by SPG also rushed to the police station and accompanied Lu Chen to answer the police's questions. Lu Chen had a clear conscience in his heart and told the whole thing from beginning to end. Because of the lawyer's involvement, it took a long time. Interestingly, when Lu Chen told the police officer in charge of the questioning that he had single-handedly taken care of 6 bodyguards, the Korean police officer's expression was quite interesting. "You really know how to brag." Obviously, he did not believe it and asked many times. Actually, Lu Chen was able to single-handedly take down 6 well-trained bodyguards not because he was a Superman who wore his underwear on the outside, but because he had used a trick, using speed, strength, and skill to take them down one by one. If he had to face 6 such opponents at the same time, Lu Chen could only run away. After the interrogation, the matter was not over yet. Under the auspices of the Korean police, both parties sat down at the police station and had a face-to-face mediation. The Japanese also had an interpreter, and they actually invited a lawyer to the scene. Although there were many people involved in the group fight at the Ocean View platform, the consequences were not serious. The one who was most injured was Jiang Fong. Her forehead was bruised, but it was only a superficial injury. As for the others, there were quite a few who were beaten black and blue, with only minor injuries at most. Therefore, in such a situation, the Korean police wanted to keep the peace and hope that both sides could reach a mutual understanding. Otherwise, if the matter blew up, it would be troublesome for them. However, Lu Chen could not agree to the terms proposed by the Japanese. The Japanese did not admit that they had attacked first, but that Lu Chen's side had provoked them maliciously. Jiang Fong's injury was a complete accident. She had first collided with the bodyguard's target, which was why she had been stopped. The Japanese demanded that Lu Chen's side must apologize and take the main responsibility for this incident. This kind of reversal of right and wrong made even Lu Chen angry. "I will never agree to such shameless conditions. I repeat, the responsibility is not on our side." He retorted without hesitation, "I demand that you apologize and compensate the victims for all their losses. Otherwise, I will see you in court." At this point, Lu Chen was not afraid of a lawsuit. He would rather bring a lot of trouble and even losses to seek justice. Otherwise, he would not be able to live with himself. The interpreter repeated Lu Chen's response. When the Japanese heard it, they all shouted. One of them even jumped up and shouted at Lu Chen. His expression was ferocious, as if Lu Chen had killed his father. The interpreter told Lu Chen, "He said he wants to duel with you." Lu Chen recognized that the other party was one of the bodyguards in the suit who had been knocked down by him. He smiled disdainfully and said, "Duel with me? Can he afford my appearance fee?" Lu Chen's current market value for a commercial performance had risen to 500,000 to 700,000 yuan, and the endorsement cost about 5 million yuan. As for the appearance fee for a duel, there was really no way to say it. It would at least be 10 times more, right? That Japanese bodyguard was probably a small boss. He actually took it seriously. "How much do you want?" He even looked at Lu Chen with disdain. Then, before Lu Chen could answer himself, someone from SPG answered on his behalf, "If you want Mr. Lu Chen to duel with you, ask your company to prepare 100 million yen, 100 million yen. The other party's face instantly turned red. He did not believe the words of the SPG representative at all and thought it was an insult. The person from SPG sneered and said, Mr. Lu Chen is a famous artist in China. The TV series he created and starred in not only set a record in the viewership ratings in China, but also achieved great success in Korea. He can't even afford 100 million yen. What right do you have to ask him to fight? The people of China did not like the Japanese, and the Koreans did not like them either. Therefore, with such an opportunity, the representative from SPG did not mind mocking the other party and letting them know how ridiculous they were. 100 million yen was equivalent to 6.5 million yuan. It was really not much to ask Lu Chen to officially duel with someone. The Japanese had never imagined that Lu Chen was actually a celebrity. They wanted to refute but had nothing to say. Their arrogance was immediately suppressed. Right at this moment, a Korean police officer came into the conference room with a laptop. He whispered a few words to his superior who was in charge of mediation, then turned on the laptop for him to see. The Korean police officer watched for a full 4 to 5 minutes. Then, he pushed the laptop in front of the Japanese's lawyer and played a video to him. After watching the video, the Japanese were stunned. Chapter 367. As a famous tourist attraction in Jeju Island, there were many tourists at the Ocean View Terrace. Therefore, when the conflict happened, many of the onlookers used their phones or cameras to record the scene. When Lu Chen and the others went to the police station for investigation, the Korean police also collected evidence at the scene according to procedure. Among them, a Korean tourist provided a long video. At that time, the female tourist was in the small square below the sea view platform. She was the first to see the group of Japanese people coming up the stairs. She felt that the slender young man wearing sunglasses looked like a celebrity, so she turned on the camera mode of her mobile phone and secretly took pictures. As a result, he managed to record the entire incident. In the video that was more than 10 minutes long, from Jiang Fong being pushed up to the scene, to the conflict between the crew members and the bodyguards, to Lu Chen turning the situation around and taking control of the situation, to the end when the police appeared and took the person in question away, not a single detail was left out. The rarest thing was that the female tourist was probably very experienced in filming videos. In addition, the phone was a high-end product. Not only was the video stable and clear, it actually felt like a movie. But that was not important. What was important was that the video strongly proved Lu Chen's testimony. It also gave the Japanese a loud slap in the face. It was obvious who was lying. In fact, there were many videos and photos taken by the tourists at the scene, but this video was the most powerful. As the saying goes, irrefutable evidence. Now that the Korean police had revealed it after the investigation, even the Japanese's lawyer was speechless. Not only the Japanese have seen it, but also Lu Chen's people have seen it. The crew members at the scene immediately went into an uproar. What else do they have to say now? Are they stupid? Do they really think they can lie so easily? The evidence is here. Pay up. Apologize. This is too much, we can't let them off so easily. Faced with the agitated Chinese people, the Japanese had nothing to say. The most arrogant guy just now also shut his mouth and pretended to be a dead dog. He was the one who pushed Jiang Fong. Only the lawyer took out his phone and made a few calls. It was unknown who he was talking to for a long time. In the end, he restated the terms of the settlement. In the face of undeniable evidence, the Japanese chose to compromise. They apologized to Lu Chen and paid a total of 12 million won to Jiang Fong and the other crew members who were beaten, which was equivalent to 70,000 renminbi. In the end, under the auspices of the Korean police, the two sides signed a mediation agreement. By the time Lu Chen and the others came out and reunited with Chen Feier and the others who were waiting in the reception room of the police station, the sky was already dark. Are you guys okay? Chen Feier, who had been waiting outside for several hours, asked with concern, did they make things difficult for you? Lu Chen smiled and said, it's fine. The Japanese have apologized. That's good, Chen Fei breathed a big sigh of relief and said, I was worried to death. There were many calls from home. Lu Shi also called several times. Everyone is very concerned about you. Now the internet is abuzz. Let's make a statement together. Lu Chen's heart skipped a beat and he said, there's no hurry. He pulled the people from SPG over and asked, Mr. Choi, can you make a copy of the video from the police station? SPG's representative in the Full House of Romance was surnamed Choi. He was an agent under SPG and was also a native of Jeju Island. He was in charge of the local filming and liaison matters. Representative Choi was in his 40s. Not only was he sophisticated, but he could also speak Chinese. As soon as he heard Lu Chen's words, he understood and replied without hesitation, I'll try. If it was a criminal case, asking the police for evidence would result in a lawsuit. However, as it was a small civil dispute that had been successfully mediated, it was much easier to make a copy of the video. As the representative of SPG, if he could not even do this, he could only go home and eat kimchi. Representative Choi pulled his lawyer over and negotiated with the police for a few minutes before getting the video as he wished. With the evidence in hand, Lu Chen immediately called his sister in China. At the same time, he sent the copy of the video to her. Lu Chen had not expected this matter to appear on the domestic online media so quickly. However, he knew very well that someone would definitely take the opportunity to stir up trouble. In the past year since his debut, Lu Chen had experienced a few storms and deeply understood the complexity of the entertainment industry. There were definitely more than one or two people in the industry who were looking forward to something happening to him and waiting to hit him when he was down. Therefore, it was very necessary to clarify the truth of the matter and protect his own reputation. However, Lu Chen decided not to make a statement for the time being because he had a better choice. Although the unexpected conflict had calmed down, the crew's afternoon had also been wasted. The scenes that could have been filmed today could only be delayed until tomorrow. Everyone returned to the hotel in Jeju City. Lu Chen and Chen Fei especially arranged a sumptuous banquet to comfort the crew. Although the young men had suffered in the conflict, their courage was worthy of encouragement and praise. There was also Jiang Fong. In addition to the necessary comfort, the crew would also pay for it as a work-related injury. At around 7 p.m., the Lu Chen arrested in Korea incident on Waves's blog continued to ferment. While Lu Chen and Chen Fei studio remained silent, the well-known blogger, Stray Cats, posted a blog post on his blog. The truth behind Lu Chen's fight in Korea. In this blog post, Stray Cats released a video that claimed to have been transferred from Korea's largest community website, Cyworld, revealing the truth of the incident. Whether or not Lu Chen maliciously injured people, whether or not he participated in the fight, and what was the cause of the incident, all of these questions were answered in this 7-minute video. Stray Cats also had 1 or 2 million fans on Waves's blog. In addition, the content of the blog post was related to the current hot topic, and with the support of the power behind the scenes, this blog post and video were quickly forwarded and passed on. At 8:30 p.m., Lu Chen's studio, Chen Fei studio, Crown Pictures, and the official Chinese blog of SPG published an official statement at the same time, explaining the cause and effect of the incident in detail to the public, as well as the results of the Korean police's mediation. Due to the previous irrefutable video evidence, the reliability of these statements was beyond doubt. The public opinion on the internet immediately leaned towards Lu Chen's side. The "everything is 3" that had previously attacked Lu Chen was now silent. Faced with the ridicule of countless netizens, he deleted the previous blog post, closed the comments section, and retracted his head to pretend to be a tortoise. As for those who followed the trend, waving flags and shouting, they disappeared in an instant. Chapter 368. The public opinion on the internet seemed to be like a storm in summer, full of unpredictable uncertainty. One moment it was a storm, the next moment it may be a sunny day after the rain. The speed of the reversal often caught people off guard. In the afternoon, the incident of Lu Chen's arrest in South Korea broke out on blogs. In the evening, netizens overwhelmingly supported Lu Chen, which made his popularity rise to another level. It could be regarded as a blessing in disguise. And the change in the situation was indispensable to the help of Lu Chen's friends and partners. Otherwise, it would not be so easy to clarify the truth. After all, the forces that opposed him before were very strong. This was thanks to Lu Chen's consistent benefit-sharing strategy, because he always believed that, when his own foundation was very weak, holding quality resources and eating alone was a way to bring disaster. For example, in the new drama, Full House of Romance, currently being filmed, Lu Chen has roped in big shots in the industry such as Beijing Television, Zhejiang Satellite TV, Crown Pictures, Flying Stone Records, SPG, and so on. While ensuring his own core interests, he shared part of the cake to consolidate his foundation in the entertainment industry. As soon as Lu Chen had an accident, of course, these partners would not stand by and watch, because it involved their interests. So when Lu Chen issued an official statement, it quickly reversed the passive situation on the internet. The undercurrent that wanted to throw him into the abyss was naturally helpless. On the way to the top, Lu Chen was no longer alone, and no one dared to underestimate him. Of course, his biggest supporters were still his thousands of fans. When the incident first came to light, most fans believed in Lu Chen and supported Lu Chen. They were not confused by the rumors on the internet and insisted on waiting for the truth to come. A small number of fans wavered and talked about it skeptically. A very small number of people turned from fans to haters, expressing their dissatisfaction and disgust with Lu Chen in blogs, forums, and Tieba. After the truth came out, these fans realized their mistakes. Some were silent, and some apologized to Lu Chen. As for those fans who had always supported Lu Chen, it was as if they had won a huge victory. They laughed at those guys who attacked Lu Chen, including many big V's and small V's in the Waves blog. It was just that the pleasure brought about by a one-sided victory could not last long, and the opponents who had been slapped in the face all pretended to be dead dogs, so the dissatisfied fans quickly shifted their focus. The new focus was on Lu Chen's martial arts skills. The video, which was shot by a South Korean tourist, had already been circulated on the internet in both China and South Korea. It was a very good video, showing the process of Lu Chen charging into the chaotic crowd and taking down the 6 Japanese bodyguards. In fact, the time that Lu Chen made his move was very short. From the time he intervened in the battle to the time he ended the battle, the whole process lasted less than a minute. Not only did he defeat many opponents in a row, but his tactical movements were like flowing water, so smooth that it was dazzling. It was really amazing. Fans who were familiar with Lu Chen knew that Lu Chen practiced martial arts. Last year, when he participated in a performance in Hangzhou, he once saved Tian, who was attacked by crazy fans. The video of that time was also recorded, and it caused quite a stir on the internet. However, the situation at that time was very different from this time. At that time, Lu Chen's opponent was only one person, and it was just an ordinary person. The difference in strength was not strong. This time, Lu Chen was facing 6 well-trained bodyguards. These bodyguards were suppressing the crew members who outnumbered them. Lu Chen turned the tide with his own strength, undoubtedly highlighting big strength. My Chen is mighty. Guys, what do you think Lu Chen used Big's Kung Fu? Kickboxing? Sanda? I don't know what Kung Fu it is, but it's very powerful. To be honest, when I first saw the video, I thought it was a martial arts film. Even martial arts films are not as powerful as Lu Chen. This is real Kung Fu. Watching it makes me want to learn Kung Fu. Not only Lu Chen's fans, but many celebrities in the circle also joined in the fun. While reposting the video, they praised Lu Chen's extraordinary skills. Some even said that they wanted to worship Lu Chen as a teacher. Of course, this was just a joke, or to ride on the popularity. One of the famous actors, Tang Chong, after watching the video, specially quoted a poem from Li Bai's Ode to the Gallant on his blog, praising Lu Chen for having the chivalrous spirit of ancient times, helping the weak and fighting the bully. I know Teacher Tang, in the business suite of the Hilton Hotel in Jeju City, South Korea, Chen Feier, who was leaning on Lu Chen's arms and looking at her phone blog, said, he once starred in the movie The 3 Heroes and 5 Righteous, and his Tai Chi is very good. He definitely admires you. The words of the heavenly queen of the music industry were full of pride, because her sweetheart was so brave and strong. To be honest, when Chen Feier saw the video for the first time, she was also shocked. She knew that Lu Chen had always been practicing kung fu, but she did not expect Lu Chen to be so strong that he could easily win against 6 people. As she said that, Chen Feier could not help but love Lu Chen in her heart, so she leaned over and gave Lu Chen a kiss on the cheek. She said with a smile, "I think if you go and shoot a martial arts film, it will definitely be a big hit." Martial arts film? Chen Feier was actually just joking, but Lu Chen revealed a thoughtful look. "I can think about it." Chen Feier was surprised. "You can't be serious, right?" Martial arts film was a type of film and TV series derived from martial arts novels. In the 1980s and 1990s, it was quite popular in Xinjiang and the mainland, but with the impact of foreign action films, it quickly declined. Now, martial arts films had basically disappeared, and at present, the more popular genre in China was the mythical xianxia film that was adapted from popular online novels, and there were many movies and TV series. In the hearts of young people, martial arts novels and martial arts films were antiques of the last century. Even if Lu Chen had a strong market appeal, it was estimated that it would not bring a high box office if he were to shoot a retro martial arts film. Lu Chen said seriously, "What if I'm serious?" Martial arts films had been on the decline for a long time, but this did not mean that this genre was dead. In Lu Chen's impression, the martial arts films he had seen, whether it was the storyline or the action design, were far from comparable to the works of the same genre in the dream world. The martial arts films and martial arts dramas in the dream world were created countless brilliant, and the martial arts films derived from them even had a world-class influence. This was a huge gold mine. If he took out the classic martial arts works in the dream world, would it be liked by young people today? Lu Chen was not 100% sure, but through this accident, he saw a suitable opportunity. Of course, times were changing, and many things had to conform to the development of the times in order to shine the light they should. Lu Chen's idea was that if he wanted to shoot a martial arts film, then he would first create a popular martial arts IP. "You want to write a martial arts novel?" When Chen Fei understood Lu Chen's idea, she felt a little confused. She knew that Lu Chen was very talented. Not only could he write songs, but he could also write novels and screenplays. Autumn in My Heart and Full House of Romance were both written by Lu Chen. But to change from an urban romance novel to a martial arts novel, wasn't the style change a little too big? Was Lu Chen really not fantasizing? Lu Chen smiled and said, "Why not try?" He suddenly had a very good idea. That was, during the filming of Full House of Romance, he would write a long martial arts novel, create a pen name, and serialize it on the internet to test the market's response. If the market's response was good, then he would use this martial arts novel as a basis to shoot a TV series or even a movie. As his own strength continued to grow, Lu Chen's ambition was no longer satisfied with shooting TV series. He set his eyes on the higher end of the movie market. That was where the highest level of fame lay. And with his current fame and status in the circle, if he wanted to be the protagonist in a movie, as long as it was not a super big production, it would not be a big problem. He would definitely be able to find a partner. But the competition in the conventional movie genre was extremely fierce. No matter how confident Lu Chen was, he did not dare to say that he would be successful if he went in, not to mention that he wanted to be in control of it. To make a name for himself in today's movie market, he must have a magic weapon to win. Lu Chen's magic weapon was the memories in the dream world, whether it was a martial arts film or a kung fu film. If he wanted to achieve his ambition, it was not something that could be done overnight. Whether his idea could be achieved or not also needed to be verified by the market, and a popular IP also needed time to ferment. Lu Chen originally planned to start implementing his plan in 1 or 2 years, but the opportunity that appeared now made him feel that it might be a good choice to do it in advance. "You mean not to use your own name, but to use a newcomer's pen name to write an online martial arts novel?" Chen Fei was shocked by Lu Chen's bold idea. "Will that work?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "That's right. If we can form an IP, then the studio will come forward and buy the copyright. At that time, whether it is a movie or a TV series, I will be the male lead, and you will be the female lead. Chen Fei was amused by him. Isn't this the same as the left hand turning to the right hand? What are you thinking? Isn't it better to use your own name to write it? Also, it has always been the two of us as the main leads. Aren't you afraid that the audience will be sick of it? Lu Chen touched his chin and thought, this is a problem. Then who do you think should be the female lead? No one. Chen Fei's attention was suddenly diverted. Even the heavenly queen could be jealous. But before she could finish her words, she was blocked by Lu Chen's mouth. It was a good night. How could they waste their precious time on such a discussion? Lu Chen pressed Chen Fei under his body, and suddenly the room was full of spring. Chapter 369. Beijing, late at night. Dragging heavy steps, Wan Xiaoquan returned to his home on the 5th Ring Road. This 70-square-meter two-bedroom apartment is not only Wan Xiaoquan's current residence, but also his only valuable property. It was originally rented to others. After he was released from prison, it was his only home. Wan Xiaoquan originally had a large well-decorated house in the 3rd Ring Road. When he divorced, he divided his property to his ex-wife. For his ex-wife, Wan Xiaoquan admitted that he owed a lot. And this home was very simple and crude, without even decent furniture. The ground was covered with cheap composite floors, which glowed with cold light under the light of the ceiling lamp, as if it was silently laughing at him. As soon as he closed the door, a strong feeling of vomiting arose from his stomach, making the former director couldn't help but run to the bathroom, throw himself on the toilet and vomit. After vomiting all the food and wine he had eaten in the evening, he vomited until his stomach acid came out. He finally felt a little better, flushed the toilet, washed his face, and staggered to make himself a cup of strong tea. After swallowing a few pieces of stomach medicine with tea, Wan Xiaoquan sat down on the dirty and dusty sofa, his face twitching slightly. It's been some time since he was released from prison, and he hasn't found a suitable job. Originally, with Wan Xiaoquan's qualifications and fame in the film and television industry, there were many investors who wanted to find him to cooperate. But what happened last time when he made a new film not only put him in prison, but also ruined his future. No one will ask Wan Xiaoquan to be a director at this time. Because his reputation in the circle is bad, and he is also listed on it. Everyone is afraid to avoid him. With great difficulty, he found a film and television company. He gritted his teeth and took out his few savings in the bank to entertain the person in charge of the other party, asking for only a position as an assistant director. As a result, he spent the money and drank until he vomited, but he didn't get a clear response. Wan Xiaoquan knew that there was no hope. But if he doesn't shoot, what can he do? Go to the construction site to move bricks? A bitter smile appeared on Wan Xiaoquan's lips, as well as deep regret. If he wasn't so impulsive, if he could listen to his friend's advice, if he could, it's useless to say anything now. Wan Xiaoquan really doesn't want to bother his retired teacher anymore. Although relying on Zhang Wentian's face, he can get a job somewhere and linger on in the strange eyes of others. What little pride he had left would not allow him to do such a thing. After sitting on the sofa for a long time, Wan Xiaoquan returned to his bedroom and lay on the bed, but he was not sleepy at all. His stomach ached convulsively. After enduring for a while, he sat up again, got out of bed, and turned on his computer. It was a long night. Let's use this to pass the time of insomnia. Wan Xiaoquan slowly browsed through the information on the internet. He was especially attentive when it came to movies. In the Waves blog, he saw Lu Chen's name. It was the headline on the front page of the blog. Wan Xiaoquan remembered Lu Chen. The only time he saw Lu Chen was at Zhang Wentian's house. The tall, handsome and polite young man left a deep impression on him. Wan Xiaoquan only knew that Lu Chen was a singer and an actor who had just shot a very popular TV series. So now that he saw Lu Chen's headline name on the Waves blog, he couldn't help but feel curious and clicked on the search. He quickly learned what happened to Lu Chen, and at the same time, he saw the video that had been forwarded millions of times. Wan Xiaoquan watched this video of a few minutes for more than half an hour, repeatedly watching it, dragging the progress bar back and forth, and focusing on Lu Chen. His eyes were getting brighter and brighter, as if he had found a treasure. Different from what others were paying attention to, Wan Xiaoquan was indifferent to the superb skills and fighting ability shown by Lu Chen in the video. What he saw was a kind of momentum, or aura, that Lu Chen had. Unruffled, confident, and powerful. If this kind of aura appeared on an artiste, it meant that he had the potential to become a superstar. Real superstars all have the same or similar temperament. Wan Xiaoquan didn't expect that such a young Lu Chen would have such a temperament. All kinds of thoughts in his mind grew wildly like weeds after the rain. Wan Xiaoquan suddenly remembered that when he met Lu Chen at Zhang Wentian's house, Lu Chen once gave him a business card. Where did this business card go? Wan Xiaoquan instinctively fumbled in his pocket and took out his wallet, but it was not there at all. He couldn't help but become anxious, rummaging through the drawers and bedside cabinets, and even running to the tea machine in the living room to look for his bag. A strong intuition was telling the former director that he had made too many mistakes, and he mustn't make them again this time. He must find this business card. South Korea, Jeju Island. Although there were unexpected twists and turns, the filming work of the Full House of Romance crew in this tourist resort was not affected much, and the rest of the scenes were successfully shot the next morning. In the afternoon, the crew left Jeju Island for Seoul to continue filming in South Korea. The impact of the Wang Haitai incident did not disappear with the departure of the Full House of Romance crew. Instead, it exploded into a new hot topic on the internet. The Japanese man who had a conflict with Lu Chen was there to take promotional photos of the artiste, and this artiste, who was protected by multiple bodyguards, was Japan's Kitagawa Koji. Kitagawa Koji was a star idol who had risen rapidly in Japan in recent years. He was 1 year younger than Lu Chen. Since his debut, his path to stardom had been smooth. He was well-rounded in singing and acting. Not only did he have a large number of fans in China, but he also had a certain influence in South Korea. He came to Jeju Island to shoot a photo shoot, mainly for the endorsement of a South Korean clothing brand. As a result, the video of the conflict between Kitagawa Koji and Lu Chen was posted on South Korea's largest community website, Cyworld. Someone immediately recognized the star, which then caused a heated discussion among South Korean netizens, especially Kitagawa Koji's fans. Interestingly, there were also many South Korean fans of Lu Chen in Cyworld. However, Lu Chen's fans had the upper hand in the debate. It was not only because Kitagawa Koji was Japanese, but also because his performance in front of Lu Chen was a little unsightly. His pathetic appearance made people shudder. South Koreans and Japanese had a common ethnic trait, which was that outsiders respected the strong. Therefore, the number of fans of Lu Chen on the Korean internet increased exponentially. In the end, there was soon news that the South Korean clothing brand had the intention to give up on Kitagawa Koji and let Lu Chen be the endorsement. Regardless of whether the news was true or not, Lu Chen was once again popular in South Korea. As the news and rumors spread into China, it had a positive impact on his image. However, nothing was perfect in this world. There were also negative consequences. Kitagawa Koji's Japanese fans would definitely see Lu Chen as an enemy. Chapter 370. Beijing, Capital International Airport. The flight arrival announcement had been broadcasted twice in a row. Many people were gathered outside the exit of Terminal T2. More than a dozen airport security personnel were guarding the crowd outside the cordon. Other than the reporters with cameras or video cameras, there were more young people holding welcome signs. The nearby passengers could not help but cast curious or surprised looks, guessing which big shot had come from abroad. "They're here. They're here." Accompanied by shouts from the crowd, a group of people carrying large and small bags and pushing luggage carts appeared in the corridor. At the front of the group was a tall man wearing sunglasses and a woman in a white dress and mask. The two were holding hands, looking very intimate. Click. Click. The next moment, flashes lit up one after another, and many long and short guns were aimed at the couple. Lu Chen. Chen Fei, The people gathered outside immediately let out loud cheers, mixed with confessions such as, "I love you," and so on. Pieces of well-made signboards were raised high, making the atmosphere of the scene exceptionally warm. Many people tried to push forward, causing a small disturbance. Fortunately, the airport security personnel were experienced and controlled the situation in time, not causing a real riot. Lu Chen was shocked by the scene in front of him and could not help but stop in his tracks. The crew of Full of Romance had filmed in Seoul for 2 days and returned to Beijing today, May 20th. At this point, the new drama's foreign plot had been completely filmed, and there was already a local sub-crew in Beijing filming related scenes for supporting roles. After the two crews reunited, they would move to Jinling Film City. Lu Chen did not expect that he and Chen Fei would receive such a grand welcome at the airport. There were at least hundreds of fans present, and there were also many media reporters. It was Chen Fei, who was experienced and said softly, "Don't worry about these reporters. Let's go straight away. Don't stay here. The transport should be waiting outside." Lu Chen nodded and pulled Chen Fei to speed up their pace towards the exit. "Lu Chen, what do you think of the conflict with Kitagawa Koji?" "Miss Chen Fei, can you talk about your thoughts when Lu Chen was taken away by the Korean police?" "Lu Chen, at that time on Jeju Island, what was your motive for doing it yourself?" Lu Chen. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry in the face of these reporters' messy questions. No wonder Chen Fei told him to ignore them. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to explain them clearly even if he talked for a long time. He didn't expect that the impact of this incident would be so big. When he was in Seoul, not only did the local Korean TV station interview him, but there were also several domestic media reporters who came to interview him. However, Lu Chen had already said what he needed to say, and he had even made a statement on his blog. He had no intention of using this incident to create hype, even though the internet was abuzz. "Lu Chen, can I have your autograph?" A young female fan struggled to get past the security guards and tried her best to hand a notebook and autograph pen to Lu Chen. Her delicate face was red, and she looked like she was about to cry. Lu Chen didn't want to pay attention to the reporters, but seeing this teenage girl ignore the security guards' scolding and push and desperately try to get an autograph, he really couldn't be indifferent anymore. Lu Chen quickly let go of Chen Fei and walked over quickly. He took the pen from the other party and quickly signed his name on the book. After signing, Lu Chen apologized to the two airport security guards who looked unfriendly. "I'm really sorry to have caused you trouble." He didn't expect this situation. The crew didn't know that there would be so many fans coming to the airport today. Otherwise, they could just go through the VIP channel and there would be no problem. He had caused a lot of trouble for the airport for no reason. The two security guards looked at each other, and one of them said, "It doesn't matter. You go quickly. I'll ask my colleagues to clear the way for you. Don't block the door." In fact, they had encountered this kind of situation many times. Lu Chen was the first star artist to apologize to them. Usually, big stars didn't pay attention to small security guards like them. Lu Chen. Seeing a fan get Lu Chen's autograph, the other fans became more and more excited, and they also wanted to have a close contact with their idol. Lu Chen knew that if he didn't leave now, something might really happen. He quickly waved to these fans and said, "Thank you." However, he pulled Chen Fei and quickly left the exit under the protection of the security guards. They boarded the business car waiting outside the reception area. After the car drove forward for a distance, Lu Chen finally breathed a big sigh of relief. Chen Fei said with a smile, "Congratulations, you have your own fan." The term star chaser first appeared in the 1990s. As the name suggested, it referred to some people or groups of people who admired stars. Star chasers were basically young people with a fashionable mentality and a strong sense of motivation. Fans belonged to fans, but they were different from ordinary fans. The social evaluation of them was not very high. There were often reports in the news about some people who were so crazy about stars that they forgot to eat and sleep, and some even went to the extreme. It was a piece of cake to go to the airport to pick up stars. In order to meet their idols, some fans even followed their idols from thousands of miles away, persevering to get close to their idols. From a certain point of view, if an idol didn't have fanatical fans, he wouldn't be considered a success. As a result, some professional fans were born. They were secretly hired by the agencies of the idols and stars to act as the leaders of the fan group, or to seize the right to speak, and constantly create hype for the idols and stars. Lu Chen has opened his own studio. Although he has budget investment in media publicity, he has never hired half a professional fan. Therefore, these star chasers are undoubtedly his true love fans, which is enough to show how popular he is now. Lu Chen knew a little about this group, so he was more helpless about Chen Fei's teasing. It was not necessarily a good thing to have a lot of fans. They might face all kinds of harassment in ordinary times. In contrast, those fans who were active in live broadcasting platforms, blogs, and forums were really much more lovely. Ring ring ring. Lu Chen was about to discuss a few words with Chen Fei, when his cell phone, which had just been turned on, suddenly rang. It was Sister Li who called him. Lu Chen, have you arrived in Beijing? Lu Chen said with a smile, just arrived. We are in the car now. Sister Li, do you have any instructions? Sister Li said angrily, what instructions? I have booked a seat in Dihao. Come with Fei. It's a welcome dinner for you. Lu Chen said straightforwardly, okay, Fei, and I will arrive around 6 o'clock. How about that? Sister Li said happily, okay, then I will go and wait for you. See you there. After hanging up the phone, Lu Chen said to Chen Fei, Sister Li will treat us to a meal. Chen Fei said with a smile, you will be busy. Lu Chen smiled and shook his head. Chapter 371. Although Sister Li did not say it clearly, both Lu Chen and Chen Fei knew that her invitation to dinner was not as simple as welcoming them. Zhang Juanji's Tiger Cubs were about to debut. The Tiger Cubs were a boy group proposed by Lu Chen. Its members included Zhang Juanji, Hui Ran, and Yu Yang, who were only in their teens. They mainly targeted the market of people under the age of 17. As the saying goes, parents love their children the most. Sister Li had put a lot of effort into the little tiger clan. Not only did she find 2 young men suitable for her sons, but she also spent a lot of money to send the 3 of them to the most famous Star Fate art gallery in the capital for comprehensive training. The 3 young lads were also quite hardworking. Originally, they were expected to spend a year to complete the training course. But after half a year of hard work, they met the requirements for their debut and successfully graduated from Star Fate art gallery. For any artist, their debut was undoubtedly a major event in their life. Although Zhang Juanji had already made a name for himself in the entertainment industry through Autumn in My Heart, for Sister Li, this was Zhang Juanji's real debut. She could not tolerate the Tiger Cubs' debut in public with any flaws. Therefore, even though she knew it was not appropriate, she still invited Lu Chen and Chen Fei, who had just returned to China. Without Lu Chen, there would be no Tiger Cubs. Without Lu Chen, there would be no glory for the Tiger Cubs' debut. Hello, Teacher Lu. Hello, Teacher Chen. At 6 o'clock in the evening, in the Golden Rose Hall of the Dihao Hotel, 3 handsome young men greeted Lu Chen and Chen Fei, who had just arrived in the box. Lu Chen smiled and said, hello, I haven't seen you for a long time. The last time he saw the Tiger Cubs was half a year ago in Star Fate Art Gallery. After half a year, the 3 boys were still immature, but they already had a unique temperament of artists. Moreover, their words and actions were full of stars. Star Fate Art Gallery's ability to train new artists was recognized by the industry. Chen Fei deliberately put on a straight face. Why do you call me teacher? Am I very old? The 3 teenagers looked at each other in dismay at the Heavenly Queen's unreasonable behavior. Did they call her teacher wrongly? Zhang Juanji was quick-witted and quickly corrected himself. Sister Fei, Hui ran and Yu Yang hurriedly followed. Good. Qin Fei's eyes curved into crescents as he smiled. Here's a present for you. Knowing that the 3 members of the Little Tigers would be present, she had prepared 3 gifts as souvenirs from Korea. Thank you, Sister Fei. After the greetings and the meeting gifts were given, it was time to talk business. Sister Lee wasn't in a hurry. She first invited the 2 of them to take a seat, then started praising Lu Qin. Lu Qin, you've won glory for our country in Korea this time. Everyone is giving you a thumbs up now. You're really awesome. Zhang Juanji nodded. That's right. My classmates have seen the video and they all want to learn martial arts. Hui Ran and Yu Yang both looked at Lu Chen with shining eyes. In their hearts, Lu Chen is undoubtedly a real idol. He can write, sing, act, and know martial arts. He is extremely powerful in both literature and martial arts. Which teenager hasn't dreamed of being a hero? Lu Chen said with a smile, Sister Lee, don't flatter me anymore. When will Juanji and the others make their debut? Sister Lee said with a smile, on the 28th, Beijing TV Channel 2's Rising Star show is preparing to participate in Singing China in June. Lu Chen understood as soon as he heard it. An artist's debut is a very broad concept. The first release of a single, acting in a movie or TV play, appearing on a variety show, and even making an announcement, as long as it is the first time to appear in public and promote, it can be classified as a debut. However, different artists and different entertainment agencies had completely different strategies for their debut. Ordinary new artists and key training rookies are 2 completely different concepts. Sister Lee only has one precious son, Zhang Juanji. She has also opened an agency and has a wide network in Beijing's circle. Naturally, she has to rack her brains and spare no expense. The Rising Star show, on Beijing TV station's second variety channel, is a variety show with high ratings. It mainly promotes new artists in the entertainment industry, with a dual nature of interviews and performances. The show is broadcast in prime time on Saturday, with 1 episode a week. Generally speaking, those who can appear on Rising Star show are young artists who have emerged in the circle, and those who can appear on the show are not simple. For a brand new group like the Little Tiger Group, even if their captain, Zhang Juanji, has a little fame, if Sister Lee doesn't have a good public relations, it is estimated that even if she can appear on the show, there may not be a suitable schedule. Making their official debut in Rising Star show, their starting point and level are not low, and then appearing on Singing China, Sister Lee's road to fame for the Little Tiger Group is very clear. As for Lu Chen, he can stand for the Little Tiger Group on Rising Star show. Sister Lee does not shy away from this, nor is she afraid of owing Lu Chen a favor. She even has ideas about Qin Fei. In this year's 2nd season of Singing China, Qin Fei is still one of the 4 judges. Singing China had good ratings in the first season last year, and even beat Shonan TV's Super Singer. The first reality show was a great success, and Beijing television, which has tasted the sweetness, couldn't stop. Therefore, this year's Singing China has a higher publicity intensity than last year. Originally, Beijing television invited Lu Chen to be a judge in the audition. At that time, it was a lot of face for Lu Chen, but now this identity is no longer appropriate and unworthy of Lu Chen's position. If it weren't for the fact that the 4 judges had signed a contract in advance, it would have been entirely possible for Lu Chen and Qin Fei to appear on the judging panel at the same time. In response to Sister Lee's request, Lu Chen agreed without hesitation. Sister Lee had been helping the 2 of them manage the Qin Fei Charity Foundation. She had been working diligently to make a name for herself. At present, the foundation had established cooperative relationships with many Class 3 Grade A hospitals in the country to help those leukemia patients who needed help, so that the donations could be used reasonably and effectively. For this, Lu Chen is also duty-bound. The dinner was enjoyed by both the guests and the host. Back at his home in Zicheng Yuan, Lu Chen closed the door and held Qin Fei in his arms. Qin Fei's eyes were like silk, and she said with a smile, "Take a bath first." Lu Chen shook his head with a smile and asked, Do you know what day it is today? Chen Feier was stunned. What day? Lu Chen sighed. What day is it today? Chen Feier, May 20th. She finally woke up. 5:20, Internet Valentine's Day. That's right. Lu Chen said with a smile, there's a prize. As if by magic, he produced a small jewelry box, purple velvet. Chen Feier's pretty face was flushed, and her eyes were full of intoxicating charm. Infinite tenderness. Chapter 372. On May 20th, the same night that the crew of Full House of Romance returned to Beijing from South Korea, many fans discovered that Chen Feier had updated his blog on Waves. The content of the blog post was very simple. There were only 2 sentences. 5:20 is a gift from someone. Do you think it looks good? There was a picture below the text. A delicate hand was pressed on the keyboard of a laptop. There was a ruby ring on her middle finger. The ring was as red as pigeon's blood, and the diamonds around it were dazzling under the light. Her skin was as white as snow, luxurious and exquisite. Chen Feier's fans were suddenly fired up. What day is it today? May 20th, Cyber Valentine's Day. Countless single fans immediately suffered a ton of damage, crying and wailing in the comments. The blogger has made a fatal blow. Singles HP 10,000. Another crazy public display of affection. I can't stand it. I'm going to turn from a fan to a hater. Ha ha ha, someone must be Lu Chen. He even gave her a ring. Did he succeed in his proposal? Don't guess blindly. You should give a diamond ring when you propose, and it's on the ring finger. I'm so envious. Rubies are very beautiful. If anyone can give me one, I'll marry him immediately. Lu Chen is very considerate. Rubies were known as the stone of love. The hot red color made people always associate them with passion and love. It symbolized passion like fire, representing the beauty, eternity, and steadfastness of love. Lu Chen bought this ring in Seoul. He chose this special day to give Chen Feier a romantic surprise. As for the damage caused by the latter showing off on his blog, it could only be regarded as an accident. Many fans, after reading Chen Feier's blog, went to Lu Chen's blog. To show affection, they must show the whole set. After Chen Fei showed it, Lu Chen must show it next. Those single fans who had suffered a blow no longer cared about being hurt again. If they were going to be abused, they might as well abuse them to the end. However, Lu Chen did not post pictures of his gifts on his blog. Instead, he posted a song, a work that he had just recorded. The title of the song was the name of the title, I Have You in My Life. Because I dreamed that you were gone. I awoke from crying, watching the night wind blowing through the window. Can you feel my love? Until the day I grow old, are you still by my side? Look at those oaths and lies, the past slowly drifted away. How many have loved thy youthful countenance, who would be willing to endure the ruthless vicissitudes of time? How many people have come and gone in your life? Do you know that I will always be by your side in this lifetime? Since the shooting of Autumn in My Heart last year, Lu Chen has focused on films and TV plays, giving people the feeling that he has temporarily bid farewell to the pop music world. But he still existed in the pop music world and his story. It's just that for many fans, they love Lu Chen more as a singer than as a star idol actor. They like Lu Chen's songs and hope that Lu Chen can create more and better works. From time to time, fans ask on Lu Chen's blog when he will release a new album, when he will hold a solo concert, when he will let everyone hear, You Who Sat Next to Me, Those Flowers, The Brightest Star in the Night Sky, again. Now, those eagerly anticipating fans have finally gotten a little satisfaction. Even if this song is sung for someone. When everything seems calm, whether there is a kind of persistence still in my heart. This song, I Have You in My Life, is an impromptu work by Lu Chen. It is sung with pure piano accompaniment. The lyrics and music continue his usual style. The lyrics are vivid, concise and appropriate, and the melody is smooth, soothing and natural, and full of affection. Although there is no gorgeous arrangement and no deliberately sensational interpretation, it is precisely this kind of heartfelt emotion expressed through music, so that no one can remain indifferent. Listening to this original Lu Chen's new work, everyone seems to see him sitting in front of the piano, playing the piano while singing to Chen Feier. What a romantic confession. Especially a few of the lyrics. How many people have loved your appearance when you were young? Do you know who is willing to bear the ruthless changes of time? How many people have come and gone in your life? Do you know that I will always be by your side in this lifetime? It is even more moving and sentimental. What moves people's hearts is true feelings, not just the lyrics and music in the work. Lyrics and music can't carry the deep true feelings, they can only help to express the feelings in the heart. If love is action, then love is dedication rather than taking. Love is giving yourself for the needs of the other party without complaint or regret. Love is the sincere happiness when the other party needs you. Everyone can hear that Lu Chen used this song to confess to Chen Feier. Although the fans have gradually become used to the love and romance between the two, today hearing this song, I Have You in My Life, still has an indescribable feeling. Do you know that I will always be by your side in this lifetime? Lu Chen's 520 blog post has only been published for half an hour, but it has been forwarded more than 10,000 times, and the number of comments has doubled. Moreover, many musicians in the circle have liked and left comments after listening to this song. I think Chen Feier should be the luckiest woman in the world today. It's a very nice song, with the style characteristics of lyrical ballads and love songs, romantic and warm. Maybe a little sad, but it is precisely this sadness that more reflects the beauty of love. I sincerely hope that Lu Chen will stop filming TV dramas. He belongs to the pop music industry. It is a kind of happiness to be able to hear this song on such a special day. The influence of Waves's blog was so great that Chen Feier's photos and Lu Chen's song quickly appeared on the homepage of major entertainment websites the next day. The latter was even praised as the most romantic confession of 520. There was even an internationally famous jewelry company that contacted the two studios, hoping that Lu Chen and Chen Feier could endorse their brand together. At this time, Lu Chen and Chen Feier had already left Beijing and were heading to Jinling Film City to continue the filming of Full House of Romance. As the saying goes, a flower planted intentionally does not bloom, but a willow planted unintentionally grows. After the Jeju Island incident and 520 confession, Full of Romance, became more and more popular on the internet and in the media without any deliberate marketing and promotion. It was regarded as the most anticipated TV series of the summer. Many media reporters simply ran to Jinling Film City to follow the crew of Full House of Romance to grab information. Although it caused a little disruption to the normal work of the crew, the partners were smiling from ear to ear. Under normal circumstances, such media popularity might not be able to be hyped up even if they spent millions of yuan on publicity. It was believed that the premiere of Full House of Romance would definitely have extremely high ratings. Everyone would get rich together. Cooperating with Lu Chen was indeed the right choice. However, at the same time, Full House of Romance and the male and female leads frequently appeared in the media entertainment film and television version, constantly attracting the attention of fans and audiences, and also putting pressure on competitors. Last year, Autumn in My Heart became an instant hit, causing many film and television production companies and entertainment agencies to set their eyes on the same theme. They all started to invest and follow the trend. At least 7 new TV series of the same type in the industry started shooting at the same time, including Shonan TV's Sea of Love. Not only did it invite Zhang Liwei and Hu Yang, who became famous because of Autumn in My Heart, to play the male and female leads, but the cast and investment scale were very large. It was very likely to collide head-on with Full House of Romance during the summer. Shonan TV had always paid attention to marketing and publicity. In the face of the rising popularity of Full House of Romance, how could they hold back? They immediately turned on the publicity machine to hype up their new TV series. Zhang Liwei and Hu Yang, who played the male and female leads, constantly released all kinds of information. Rumors that they were in a relationship, and then there were all kinds of gossip from the crew, changing ways to attract the attention of the audience. Although other new TV series were lacking in strength, they could not stay silent. They also spent money to promote it. For a time, the gossip in the industry soared, dazzling people. On May 27, Lu Chen quietly returned to Beijing alone to participate in the recording of Rising Star Show on Beijing TV Variety Channel. Note, lyricist/composer of With You in a Lifetime, Lu Gengxiu. Chapter 373. Rising Star Show is an interview program launched in 2010 by the second variety channel of Beijing TV station, which mainly invites new rising stars in literature and art, performing arts and entertainment industry. Beijing is famous all over the world. The capital is the cultural center of the country, a real gathering place of talents. There are new forces emerging all the time, and new artists belonging to the entertainment industry are of course emerging one after another. Therefore, the program of Beijing TV Variety Channel will never lack protagonists who can make people's eyes light up. Since it started broadcasting, hundreds of newcomers in the industry have been invited, and the ratings have been very good. It is precisely because of this that it is not easy to get on the stage of Rising Star Show. There is only one episode broadcast a week, which is really too many monks and not enough gruel. Sisterly also spent a lot of effort to make the Little Tiger Group debut in Rising Star Show. Like most variety shows, Rising Star Show is not a live broadcast. It is recorded one day in advance. This week's broadcast time is on the 28th, so Lu Chen, as a special guest of the show, returned to Beijing on the 27th. In fact, the Little Tiger Group was able to get on Rising Star Show smoothly, and Sisterly was able to invite Lu Chen to appear. Now Lu Chen has a very good relationship with Beijing TV. The recording of the show began at 1:00 p.m. on the 27th, in Beijing TV's T2 studio. The T2 studio of Beijing TV is not as big as the T1 studio, which was just built last year. It can only accommodate 700 live audiences, and the stage background is much smaller, but it is most suitable for this kind of talk show. For the Little Tiger Group headed by Zhang Juanji, going from the T2 studio to the T1 studio is their road to rise. Because according to convention, the T1 studio will be the live broadcast venue for the final of Singing China, Beijing Division. Next, let's welcome three handsome boys. They are the Little Tiger Group. With the sound of the host's voice falling, cheerful music sounded, and three teenagers in t-shirts and jeans appeared on the stage at the same time, receiving warm applause from the audience. For this kind of interview or other kinds of variety shows, the previous live audience was basically the support of the TV station, and even many of them were simply the staff of the TV station. Therefore, there was no problem with the atmosphere. The live audience's questions and answers were pre-arranged, and even the audience's expressions and movements had a fixed routine. But the audience in front of the television weren't fools. At first, they couldn't tell. But after playing the same trick many times, the audience felt that something was wrong. No matter how they looked at it, it was fake. Then, there were a lot of comparisons on the internet, and a lot of people were found to be acting on the set of variety shows, which caused a lot of TV viewers to be disgusted. As a result, most TV stations didn't dare to play this game anymore. The audience they invited for their programs had become much more complicated. Although there were still people who supported them, it was much less than before. Today, there were hundreds of fans of the Little Tigers at the scene. Even though the Little Tigers had yet to officially debut, an official blog and fan club had already been established. Sister Lee's management company had people in charge of publicity for the group. Since the leader of the Little Tigers, Zhang Juanji, already had a lot of fans, and the image of the three-member juvenile group was quite perfect, they still managed to gain a lot of fans on the blog by posting pictures of their daily life and training. These fans were mainly from the 2000s, so those who came to the scene to cheer were mostly teenage boys and girls, but most of them were young girls. Seeing the handsome members of the Little Tigers, they immediately raised their signs and cheered. Of course, most of them were shouting Zhang Juanji's name. The atmosphere at the scene immediately became lively, and it was filled with the aura of youth. After Zhang Juanji and the other two sat down, the host smiled and said, it seems that our little tigers are very popular, but I think there must be a lot of people who don't know you. Can you introduce yourselves first? Zhang Juanji. Hello, host. Hello everyone, I'm Little Handsome Tiger, Zhang Juanji. Hui Ran. Hello everyone, I'm Little Flying Tiger, Hui Ran. Yu Yang. Hello everyone, I'm Little Obedient Tiger, Yu Yang. The three of them said in unison, we are the little tigers. Applause, laughter, and screams rang out in the audience at the same time. Regardless of whether they could become real stars in the future, at least their first appearance on the screen would leave a deep impression on the audience. The Rising Star show began with a conversation. The host's questions and the answers of the three members of the Little Tigers must have been carefully planned in advance. However, because it was not a live broadcast, for the effect of the show, some of the questions asked by the host were improvised, so they had to consider the adaptability of the rising stars. Of course, if they performed poorly or had any problems, they would definitely be cut in the post-production, but the negative impact was inevitable. There were many fans in the audience. Fortunately, Zhang Juanji and the other two's performances were remarkable. Although they were not amazing or outstanding, it was already very commendable for their age. The host asked again, you have chosen this path, and at least for now, it seems to be a success. So, who do you want to thank the most? She looked at Zhang Juanji. Zhang Juanji thought for a while and answered seriously, the first person I want to thank is my mother. It was my mother who supported and encouraged me to walk on this path, so that I can choose to do what I like. Here, I want to say to my mother, Mom, I love you. This question and answer was not prepared in advance, so the host was stunned. Then he smiled and applauded, well said. The one I want to thank the most is my mother. In fact, at this moment, Sister Li was standing with Lu Chen backstage. Hearing her son's words, her eyes suddenly turned red, but she was smiling happily. Lu Chen put his hands on Sister Li's shoulders to comfort her. Her story was a legend in the circle. The host continued to ask, the one you want to thank the most is your mother. Is there anyone else you want to thank? Zhang Juanji nodded and said, there is one more, and that is Teacher Lu Chen. Without him, there would be no little tigers. The host exclaimed in a slightly exaggerated tone, so Lu Chen is your teacher? The three of them answered in unison, yes. The host smiled and said, today we are very lucky to have invited this teacher to the scene. Let's welcome Lu Chen. With the accompaniment of, you who sat next to me, Lu Chen walked from backstage to the front. The cheers and applause from the audience suddenly became enthusiastic. Chapter 374. Welcome, Lu Chen. Mu Dan, the host of Rising Star Show, and the three members of the Little Tigers stood up and applauded to welcome Lu Chen. Hello, Mu Dan, Juanji, Iran, Xiaoyang, good evening everyone. Lu Chen smiled and nodded to Mu Dan, the host of Rising Star Show, and Zhang Juanji, then waved to the hundreds of audience at the scene, which immediately attracted a burst of cheers. Rising Star Show was different from Star Interview, another interview program on Beijing television variety channel. Star Interview invited new artists who had just emerged in the circle, so the real big names usually did not appear here. Lu Chen had been on Star Interview and appeared on Rising Star Show, which was the first time. He sat down in the seat reserved for him. Mu Dan explained to the audience, it's really not easy to invite Lu Chen to participate in our Rising Star Show today, because he is currently filming the new TV series, Full House of Romance, and is really busy with work. She asked Lu Chen, you came here today, right? Lu Chen nodded. Yes, the new TV series is being filmed in Jinling. I came here by high-speed train this morning. The audience applauded, that was really giving them face. Mu Dan introduced, Full House of Romance, is a new TV series starring teacher Lu Chen. It will also premiere on our Beijing television during the summer vacation. Remember to support it then. Lu Chen's new TV series not only premiered on Beijing television, but also Beijing television was involved in the production. So even though it had little to do with Rising Star Show, the host still vigorously promoted it. Lu Chen said, thank you, Moo Dan. I won't talk about the new TV series today. Let's talk about the little tigers. Everyone laughed. Moo Dan smiled and said, no wonder the little tigers say you are their teacher, one of the people they want to thank the most. Lu Chen said modestly, actually, I didn't teach them much. Moo Dan asked, I heard that you came up with the names, Little Tigers, Little Handsome Tiger, Little Flying Tiger, and Little Cute Tiger, ? Lu Chen nodded. Yes. Moo Dan smiled. I also know that you have composed a few excellent works for the little tigers. Does anyone want to listen to them? Yes. The audience cheered, especially the fans of the little tigers, who were even more excited and shouted with all their might. Today was the day that the Little Tiger group officially debuted. However, before their debut, they had already started their promotional activities. On Waves's blog, there were already their official fans and support group fans. There were new blog posts every day. Relying on Zhang Juanji's popularity in Autumn in My Heart, and the handsome looks of the three youths, the Little Tigers became popular on the internet before they even debuted and gained a large number of fans. It was just that this unusually young boy group had yet to produce any works. Although everyone knew that they were still learning and training, the patience of the fans was limited. Nowadays, there were many newcomers in the entertainment industry. If they wanted to stand out, they had to rely on their works. The Little Tigers had a good foundation, but without solid works, they were destined to be short-lived. Therefore, seeing that the promotion was almost done, they announced their official debut and used the platform of Rising Star to complete their debut. Moo Dan smiled at Lu Chen. Let teacher Lu Chen test the results of your studies. Zhang Juanji and the other two stood up and bowed to Lu Chen. Teacher, please give us some pointers. Lu Chen smiled and nodded. He had already accepted the title of teacher, or more accurately, mentor. The relationship between master and disciple was very common in the entertainment industry. Sisterly had originally planned to hold a formal ceremony to become his disciple, but Lu Chen declined. He had only debuted for a year and did not have enough experience in the entertainment industry. If he were to become someone else's real master, he might become a joke. Of course, rejection was rejection. With his friendship with Chen Fei and Sisterly, the Little Tigers would definitely see it through to the end. That was why Lu Chen was here today. White cloud crossed the hill, trying hard to find its home. The light rain woke up the sleeping lotus from its dream and opened its smiling face. I made a kite of my youth and climbed up to the sky. The shell climbed up the beach and saw how big the world was. The caterpillar looked forward to a pair of beautiful wings tomorrow. The river lay in the arms of the forest and sang a song written in spring. I slowly weave the years into a picture. The little tigers sang Butterflies Fly, which was tailor-made for them by Lu Chen. The song has a light melody and positive lyrics. While maintaining a popular style, it is also very suitable for teenage boys and girls. According to the scheduled plan, after participating in Singing China, the Little Tigers will release their first album. The title song is Butterflies Fly, which can be regarded as a copy of Lu Chen's successful route. But the Little Tigers are completely different from Lu Chen. They are not only a team, but also a singing and dancing performance. Dance is a very important part of the training that Zhang Juanji and the other two have received in Star Fate Art Museum. Their dance teacher is a professional coach from South Korea. The dance steps have been formally choreographed, accompanied by loud and clear singing, showing the youthful vitality unique to teenagers. Although it was their first time appearing on TV, whether it was Zhang Juanji, Hu Yiran, or Yu Yang, they were inevitably a little nervous, and their reaction was slightly stiff and unnatural in their dance. However, after singing half of the song, the results of their usual strict and harsh training came out. The three of them danced more and more easily, their movements became more and more natural and skillful, and their cooperation with each other was very tacit. Such a Little Tigers brought to the hundreds of audience at the scene an absolutely refreshing feeling. Although there is no lack of boy and girl groups in the entertainment industry, such a young juvenile group is really refreshing and fresh. Needless to say, the fans of the Little Tigers were even more excited. When the Little Tigers finished their performance, many girls clapped desperately with stars in their eyes, pushing the atmosphere to a climax. Such a scene made Zhang Juanji and the other two very excited. They gasped slightly and their faces were full of happy smiles. The host Mu Dan applauded and said, "It's very nice and the dance is very good. Do you want another song?" "Yes." The audience responded in unison, and a few female fans even screamed. So Zhang Juanji and the other two continued to perform Whispers of Youth. This song was not Lu Chen's work, but a song that sisterly invited other famous artists to customize for the Little Tigers. Its style and content were consistent with Butterfly Flight. Whispers of Youth was also a good work, but it was obviously inferior to Butterfly Flight. In fact, with the wealth of memory that Lu Chen had, it was not a problem to take out 10 works to fill up the Little Tigers' debut album, but he would not do that. Good things would depreciate when there were too many of them, and a steady stream was the way to go. Now that even the original music chart was going to introduce new rules to limit the number of works on the chart, it was not a bad thing to keep a low profile. Not to mention the Little Tigers, even if it was Chen Feier's album in the future, Lu Chen was only going to write 3 or 4 songs. That was enough. "Thank you for the wonderful performance of the Little Tigers," Mu Dan said. She turned to look at Lu Chen and asked, "So, Mr. Lu Chen, are you satisfied with the performance of your 3 students?" Lu Chen replied, 10 points out of 10, I give them 9 points. There was a sudden sound of "wow" in the audience. They probably did not expect that Lu Chen would give such a high score. Mu Dan was not satisfied. She pretended to be puzzled and asked, "Why not 10 points? Where was the point deducted?" Lu Chen said with a smile, "I gave them 1 point less, so that they would not be too proud." His answer was unexpected. Everyone was stunned at first, but after they reacted, there was a burst of laughter. In fact, Lu Chen meant to give full marks, but such a joke would not make people feel disgusted at all, and there was no suspicion of deliberately bragging. Mu Dan smiled and said, "Well, the Little Tigers have just performed, and it was very wonderful. So, as the teacher of the Little Tigers, shouldn't you also show your skills? What do you think, everyone?" Naturally, the audience cheered loudly and clapped their sticks loudly. For them, today's episode of New Star Show was undoubtedly very cool. Lu Chen was not pretentious and said straightforwardly, "Then I will sing a song for everyone." Chapter 375. Lu Chen took the guitar sent by the staff of the TV station and tried to sound it in his arms. He felt a little rusty. Recently, he had been busy with the studio and the TV show. Most of the time he had for daydreaming was spent on romance with Chen Feier, so he rarely played the guitar. Now that he picked up the guitar again, Lu Chen couldn't help thinking of the simple and happy times in the past. At that time, he was still struggling to make a living, playing the piano and singing in front of the computer or in the bar every day. It seemed like it was yesterday. Everything had changed so quickly. After calming himself down, Lu Chen said to the microphone that had just been placed in front of him, "Before going on New Star, the staff told me that you need to prepare a song. I'm surprised. I'm a guest on the show. Why should I sing?" He said, "Yes, because you are a singer. When a singer goes on the show, he must sing. Everyone must want to hear it. Then I wonder, what song should I sing for everyone today?" He looked like he was thinking. "You who sat next to me. Those flowers. My brother who slept on the upper bunk." The audience responded enthusiastically, and all the songs they ordered were Lu Chen's famous works, ballads played on the guitar. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Everyone has heard these songs. Today is a special day, so I'd better sing a new song." "A new song?" "Of course, a new song is the best." Everyone applauded. Lu Chen enjoyed the applause for a moment and continued, "In fact, there will be a very special day in a few days. It should be called a festival. I think everyone here has celebrated this festival, or at least you are the main characters of this festival. Children's Day. Someone shouted at once, and many people in the audience laughed. Lu Chen also laughed. Yes, it's Children's Day. I still remember when I was a child, celebrating Children's Day was very happy. So, students who are still qualified to celebrate this festival, you must cherish it. Laughter rang out again. Lu Chen casually plucked the strings and said, "Childhood is the most unforgettable thing. It will never be forgotten. The name of this song is Childhood. I will give it to the little tigers and everyone here. I hope that you will. I hope that when you hear this song, you will remember your childhood just like me." The next moment, he played the prelude. Beijing television station's T2 broadcasting studio quickly quietened down. Even the most noisy boys and girls shut their mouths tightly as they stared at Lu Chen on stage with wide eyes. Because Lu Chen's songs required one to listen to them attentively. On the banyan tree by the pond, the cicadas were calling for summer. On the swing by the playground, only butterflies were perched on it. The teacher's chalk on the blackboard. He was still writing non-stop. Waiting for the class to end. Waiting for school to end. A childhood of waiting for games. The catchy melody and the somewhat heartless lyrics captured the hearts of the listeners in an instant. The rhythm of this song, Childhood, was very cheerful. It immediately made people recall the relaxed, happy, and carefree childhood life. It reminded them of the most brilliant, happiest, and most beautiful period of time in their memories. It gave people hope and made them look forward to it. It gave people desire and made them reminisce endlessly. Always have to wait until before going to bed, only then know that little homework has been done. Always have to wait until after the exam, only then know that the books that should have been studied have not been studied. An inch of time is an inch of gold. The teacher said that an inch of gold cannot buy an inch of time. Day after day, year after year, a blurry childhood. These lyrics could not help but make people smile. Perhaps it was a slightly bitter smile. Those who were slightly older could not help but feel a little sad and a little emotional when they heard it. However, they also missed the time when they were young, the years that had passed, and the ignorant childhood. In Lu Chen's dream world, this song, Childhood, was incomparably classic. It had deeply influenced several generations of people. In fact, it was a little critical in nature. However, putting aside the background of the creator's era, it still had infinite charm. There were a few lyrics that were not appropriate. Lu Chen made some small changes himself, but it did not affect its classic status. It was just a simple song, but how could it not bring out the memories and emotions that he had hidden deep within? Day after day, year after year, the childhood that I look forward to growing up. As his hands rose and fell, Lu Chen finished singing the song. Thunderous applause sounded in the studio. Because the audience heard a good song that could touch their hearts. Thank you everyone. Lu Chen stood up with his guitar and bowed to the audience who cheered for him. He had completed his mission. Next, he would return the stage to the real protagonist. After the recording of Rising Star Show, Lu Chen could not resist Sister Li's insistence. He agreed to let her treat him to dinner that night. But before that, Lu Chen hurried back to his studio. Because his sister had something important to tell him. It has been some time since Lu Chen's studio moved to its new home in the art park. At present, the development of various businesses is on track. The scale is much larger than before, and the number of employees has doubled. Of course, the recording studio, which was built with millions of dollars of investment, will not be empty. Because of the very advanced equipment and the increasing status of Lu Chen in the pop music world, many small and medium-sized record companies and entertainment agencies have recommended their singers and artists to come here to record songs. In the pop music world, top singer-songwriters like Lu Chen have the highest status, and his works have proved their strong market recognition countless times. Therefore, even if they can't buy songs from him for the time being or can't afford to buy songs from him, they are willing to form a good relationship with him. In addition to the arrangement and accompaniment of recording, Nirvana's work is full, and the studio has more and more formal company structure temperament. But She called Lu Chen over, not to talk about the studio's business, but an invitation from the Jeju City Culture and Tourism Department of Jeju Island, South Korea. The Jeju City government intends to hire Lu Chen as a travel ambassador. This invitation is very not simple, because generally speaking, tourism ambassadors are local stars or celebrities. Lu Chen, as a foreigner, can get an invitation from Jeju City, which undoubtedly breaks the precedent. The reason is that Jeju Island is vigorously expanding its tourism industry, aiming at the huge tourist resources of the mainland. As a rapidly popular star artist in the domestic entertainment industry, Lu Chen's image and popularity fully meet the requirements. In addition, Lu Chen's Full of Romance has a large number of scenes in Jeju Island. Once it is broadcast, it will inevitably promote the tourism of Jeju Island, just in time to take advantage of it. Therefore, this honor fell on his head. Note, lyrics/composer of Childhood, Luo Dio. Chapter 376. 5 days ago, the official accounts of Lu Chen's studio and Chen Feier's studio launched a lucky draw for Korean games at the same time. This lucky draw came from the promise made by Lu Chen to all his fans on Wave's blog. As long as the ratings of Autumn in My Heart in Korea exceeded 10%, then he would draw the same proportion of fans based on the actual ratings and give them a 3-day, 2-night happy package. Then, Chen Feier directly changed the happy package into a 2-person tour. As a result, after Autumn in My Heart was broadcasted on Korea's KGS TV station, the average ratings reached 22.31%. This not only slapped the faces of those who were complaining about it on the blog, but also meant that 2,231 fans would enjoy this surprise gift. The official lucky draw started on May 22. Every day, the official VIPs of the two studios would draw 100 winners from their respective support groups until all the winners were drawn. Although this kind of lucky draw could draw all the winners on the same day through computer ranking, the publicity effect was not as good as drawing for more than 10 days in a row. Now, in Lu Chen and Chen Feier support group, as well as the official forums of the two, lucky fans showing off the news of winning the prize had become a daily flaunt activity. Not only did it attract the envy of those who did not win, but passers-by were also jealous. The lowest price for a 3-day, 2-night, 2-person tour in Korea was more than 5,000, which meant that Lu Chen and Chen Feier had to pay more than 10 million in real money, so the publicity effect was naturally excellent. And it was precisely because of its great influence that it attracted the attention of Korea. In the past 10 years, the number of domestic tourists in Korea had been increasing, bringing a large amount of income to Korea. At the same time, it was facing competition from Japan and Southeast Asian countries, so it paid great attention to domestic publicity. The Korean lucky draw organized by the two studios was undoubtedly an excellent publicity opportunity, so there was an endorsement invitation from the Jeju City Culture and Tourism Department. Regarding this invitation, Lu Chen had no reason to refuse. Although there was no high endorsement fee to be paid for a 1-year tourism ambassador endorsement, compared to a real advertising endorsement, it was like heaven and earth. However, this honor was very beneficial for Lu Chen to expand into the South Korean market. Especially with the great success of Blue, it could avoid a lot of trouble. Because Koreans were quite xenophobic, it wouldn't be a big deal if Blue suffered a setback in Korea's viewership ratings. However, it was precisely because of its huge success that some Koreans or their competitors would be extremely resistant to it. KGS's Autumn in My Heart had defeated MBC's Queen's Power in terms of ratings. The latter was MBC's blockbuster drama of the year. It could be said that it was a big loss of face. When KGS introduces Full House of Romance, it would be strange if MBC did not stir up some controversy. Such examples were not uncommon. In the past, many Japanese celebrities had suffered losses when they tried to enter the Korean market. They had a good start, but in the end, they ended up with a gloomy ending. Back then, SPG and KGS had made many requests for the collaboration of the new drama, Full House of Romance. Apart from asking for benefits, it was also because of the pressure in this area that Lu Chen finally added a Korean storyline and added a few Korean celebrities to the cast. The purpose was to reduce the resistance that they might face in the future. Now that Lu Chen had the endorsement of the tourism ambassador, SPG, and KGS could make a big deal out of the publicity. It was nothing more than an exchange of benefits. After dealing with the accumulated business in the studio, Lu Chen and Lu Shi went to the hotel that Sisterly had booked for a banquet. At night, he returned to his home in Zicheng Yuan alone. Chen Fei was still in Jinling. The huge house seemed very quiet. Originally, Lu Chen had wanted to ask Lu Shi to move in as well, but his sister had rejected him outright. She did not want to be a third wheel. Fortunately, after taking a shower, Chen Fei called him. After being lovey-dovey for more than half an hour, the two ended the call. Although he was a little tired and had to return to Jinling early the next morning, Lu Chen did not rest immediately. Instead, he turned on his computer and logged on to Waves Reading. Waves Reading was one of the largest original online literature websites in China. With more than 50 million registered members and more than 100,000 contracted and resident authors, it had a great influence in the industry. Domestic online literature arose at the beginning of the new century. It was a new type of literature that flourished with the internet industry. After more than 10 years of development, it had formed a huge market scale. Fantasy, xianxia, urban, military, history, and supernatural. Although online literature had problems of good and bad, with the rich imagination and diligent writing ability of thousands of authors, it had firmly attracted the attention of a large number of young people, and in many ways had surpassed the traditional field. Waves Reading, QQ Literature, Hanmo Academy, NetEase Chinese. Many domestic internet giants had divided the market in online literature and competed for the rich profits of literary IP. Such as Wen Tianji, Tomb Explorer, The Immortals Rise and Storm, Love in the Harem, and other films and TV series adapted from online novels have achieved great success in the market. While filming Autumn in My Heart and Full House of Romance, Lu Chen also turned his attention to this emerging hot land, with the intention of making achievements on big IP. His goals and ambitions were very big, but a popular IP was not something that could be easily created. Cutting in from online novels was undoubtedly the best choice, but today's online literature market had long been divided, and it had entered an era where the winner takes all. Excellent resources are basically in the hands of several big websites. These websites have many great god-level authors, whose works are widely praised by readers, and it is easy to create popular IP. And for the later newcomers, whether it is the website or the author, it is undoubtedly difficult to get a piece of the pie. Lu Chen has an understanding of today's online literature. He deeply understands that his big IP plan faces many tests, and it is not easy to succeed. Because the core of his big IP is wuxia. In Lu Chen's dream world, wuxia literature once flourished, and many famous masters appeared. There are countless films and TV series based on wuxia literature, and it still has a great influence even when his memory is broken. But in his own world, wuxia literature and wuxia films and TV series have appeared, but they declined very quickly. Now that the field of online literature has established a pattern, will there still be wuxia themes? Lu Chen also did not know. In a sense, wuxia is a low-level version of xuanhuan novels. Online readers are used to high martial, or even immortal martial, level of xuanhuan novels. They are familiar with battle energy, soul power, beast soul, and other dazzling terms of power. Will they like low martial wuxia novels? Lu Chen has taken time to read a few popular online xuanhuan novels, and there is a big difference with the online xuanhuan novels in his dream world. The latter was originally born out of wuxia novels, while the former is a mixture of Western fantasy literature and Japanese fantasy literature, and then localized works. If you compare it with the wuxia novels that he wants to write, then the difference is even greater. But no matter the result, since Lu Chen has made up his mind, then he will work hard to do it. At the worst, if this path does not work, he will choose another one. On the home page of Waves, Lu Chen did not set up an author account with his blog account, but registered a new ID, Remembering Now and Now. This ID has a specific meaning, and in this world, only Lu Chen himself can understand it. After registering an account and registering a simple personal information, the author area of Remembering Now and Now was established. According to the system prompt, he can publish his work. Lu Chen opened the document stored in the USB drive, first copied a paragraph of 3,000 words to fill in the text. Then he typed in the title of the book. Lu Chen clicked Upload for review. This is the first step of uploading a new book. As long as it passes the review of the website administrator, it will be officially published. The moment he clicked the mouse, Lu Chen did not know whether this is the beginning of his failure or the beginning of his big IP plan. Everything will wait for the test of time and the market. Chapter 377. The day after the recording of Rising Star Show, Lu Chen returned to Jinling Film and Television City and re-immersed himself in the intense shooting process of Full House of Romance. Because this TV series involved many parties, and all of them were powerful, the shooting went very smoothly, whether in South Korea or China. If there were no twists and turns, it could be seen to the TV audience in the summer. For Lu Chen, the shooting work was busy, but his big IP plan was equally important. Therefore, he took a lot of time every day to write, and then insisted on uploading to Waves for publication. It was just that this new book with the pen name, Remembering Modern and Ancient, was not very good. Strictly speaking, it was a flop. On the evening of May 27th, Lu Chen uploaded the book. Until June 5th, a total of 10 days, he uploaded a total of 60,000 words of text content. He updated 2 chapters of 6,000 words a day. According to the number of updates, Lu Chen's new book fully met the requirements of online literature. Usually, the author would not update too much during the period of a new book, and would only increase the number of words after it was put on sale. But the data of the new book was really terrible. Hits, 420, recommendations, 79, favorites, 22, comments, 58. Waves was one of the largest original literature websites in China. Because the associated blog was conducive to publicity, there were many authors stationed on the website. Among them, there were many great authors who had published several popular works that were made into big IP. The website claimed to have 10+ authors, but the real number was certainly not that many. Even so, the competition was extremely fierce, and it was very difficult for new authors to stand out. However, the website had a recommendation mechanism, and the signed works would be recommended. As long as the quality of the book was not too bad, it was still possible to stand out. The editor in the website would also pay attention to new books. A new book would be read by the editor when it had 10,000 to 20,000 words, and when it reached 50,000 to 60,000 words, it would be reviewed again. If the requirements were met, a signing letter would be sent to the author, and the author would enter the formal signing process. Lu Chen's new book didn't receive any replies from the site when it was 20 to 30,000 words. Now that it has reached 60,000 words, there was still no news. According to the words of the circle, it was cut by the editor. There was no future and no hope. During the period when Lu Chen posted on the internet, he also opened a QQ account and joined several new authors groups. He had a preliminary understanding of the online literature circle and knew a lot of rules of online literature. This made Lu Chen rather depressed. His ambitious big IP plan had only just begun, but he had already suffered a heavy blow. Let's not talk about the dismal click-through statistics. Out of the 58 comments, 49 of them were from other authors advertising and recommending their books to each other. Only 9 comments were from real readers, and most of them were negative. What kind of lousy book is this? It's boring to read. I'm leaving. The author's writing style is not bad. It's a pity that the plot is not attractive enough, and the beginning is abusive. I felt bored after reading a few chapters, so I gave up. I suggest that the author read more books by the gods and learn from them. F***ck me, only one reader gave a positive review. It's a good novel. It feels like a traditional wuxia novel, right? Nowadays, there really aren't many people who write such books. If the author has an idea, I'll support him. This reader supported Lu Chen by tipping him 100 book coins. How much is 100 book coins? Chen Fei, asked curiously. This heavenly queen of the music industry was lying on her bed in the hotel room, browsing through the comments of Lu Chen's new book on her laptop. She had no interest in online literature. In the past, she had only watched a few movies and TV series that were adapted from popular novels. Therefore, she basically had no understanding of online literature. It was only after Lu Chen used a sock puppet to open a book on waves that her interest was piqued. Actually, Chen Fei did not like the genre of novels written by Lu Chen. She liked novels that were about emotions, and she had no love for such things. If it wasn't for Lu Chen's new work, she wouldn't even bother to pay attention to it. Cough. Lu Chen coughed and explained, it's equivalent to 1 renminbi. 1 renminbi? Chen Fei's pretty eyes widened, and her face was filled with disbelief. I thought it was 100 renminbi. In other words, you spent so much time writing 60,000 words and only earned 1 renminbi? Cough, cough. Lu Chen coughed even more violently. Actually, according to the rules of the website, I can only get 50 renminbi. He, Chen Fei finally could not hold it in anymore. She patted the blanket and laughed hysterically. 50 renminbi. Just 2 days ago, she and Lu Chen had taken out a total of more than 10 million renminbi to give to their fans. Now, Lu Chen had worked so hard and spent so much of their romantic time, but he only earned 50 renminbi. She was not mocking him, but she really could not hold it in. While laughing, Chen Fei said, who told you to not use your own name and use that newbie sock puppet? Now you've tasted the bitterness, haven't you? Serves you right for what you did. If Lu Chen had used his own name to start a new book, he could have casually announced it on his blog, and it was guaranteed that countless fans would come to support him. The gifts would definitely be like a downpour, and it would definitely not be such a miserable situation. Therefore, Chen Fei could not understand Lu Chen's behavior. In her opinion, the direction of Lu Chen's big IP plan was right, but why not use the popularity resources that he had accumulated? There was a ready-made shortcut, but he chose to climb a cliff. Therefore, she did not sympathize at all. In fact, the results of the new book were so bad that Lu Chen also felt a little regretful and thought about republishing it under his own name. However, the original intention of using a newbie sock puppet to start a book was to first test whether the theme of wuxia could be liked by the readers, rather than relying on fans to accumulate popularity and attention. There was a big difference between the two. If he could make the book popular using a newbie sock puppet, the data would be real and reliable, and then the big wuxia IP plan would really have a bright future. Moreover, Lu Chen also wanted to keep a low profile. In the end, the new book was a flop. He stubbornly said, let's do it. I have saved a lot of manuscripts. No matter what, I have to finish this book first. If I can't do it, then I will do it myself. This was the last choice, and it felt a little embarrassing. Chen Fei said coquettishly, then when are you going to stop writing? You haven't been with me recently, and only care about playing computer games. Be careful that I kick you out and find someone else. Lu Chen pressed her under his body and said fiercely, stop dreaming. Don't even think about getting out of my palm in this life. Chen Fei suddenly cried out in alarm, help. However, her mouth was immediately gagged, and she could only let out soft moans from her nose. The atmosphere in the room became incomparably charming. The laptop was thrown aside, and on the display area, the 4 big black characters of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer were particularly eye-catching. Chapter 378. Give me a bottle of snow power and a pack of Red 5. In the West District of Jiang City, in the Flying Dragon Internet Cafe hidden deep in the alley, Wang Pu put a 10 yuan note and his ID card on the counter. He looked around the smoke-filled room, and when he saw that his usual seat was still empty, he let out a sigh of relief and whistled at the girl at the bar counter. The girl at the counter glared at Wang Pu and threw the cigarette, drink, and ID card back to him. You only have 15 yuan left in your card. Do you want to top it up? Wang Pu grabbed it and laughed, no hurry. I will use it later. There is no discount now. The girl at the counter rolled her eyes and turned her head away, ignoring him. Wang Pu didn't care. He sat down in his seat and turned on the computer skillfully. There were at least hundreds of big and small internet cafes in Jiang City. The Flying Dragon Internet Cafe was one of the most inconspicuous ones. It had a long history and backward conditions. The computers were all used for 4 or 5 years, almost to the point of obsolescence. The place was small. If he farted in his seat, half of the people in the internet cafe could smell it. Because of this, although there was a "no smoking" sign, no one cared about smoking. The most important thing was that the Flying Dragon Internet Cafe was very cheap. It only cost 2 yuan an hour. Moreover, there would be a "charge 100 for free" event from time to time. Young people like Wang Pu, who lived at the bottom of the city, could also find their own cheap happiness here. The machine started slowly. Wang Pu was not in a hurry. He put the drink aside and tore open the pack of cigarettes. "Lao Wang, give me one." Suddenly, a low and hoarse voice came from the side, making people who heard it shudder. F***ck. Wang Pu, who was unprepared, was shocked. He turned his head and saw the guy next to him asking for a cigarette. Wang Pu knew this guy. "Guru, are you trying to scare me to death?" The guru was definitely a legend in the Flying Dragon Internet Cafe. Everyone who came to the Internet Cafe often knew him. He was about the same age as Wang Pu. He was unkempt and skinny. He always looked like he didn't have enough sleep. There were many stories about the Almighty. The most famous one was that he once fought continuously for 7 days and 7 nights in an online game that had just been released. He didn't even sleep for a day. His boss was so scared that he almost called the police, fearing that he would suddenly die in front of the computer. However, the Almighty's vitality was even more tenacious than a cockroach's. Wang Pu still looked the same as when he first came to Flying Dragon Internet Cafe a few years ago. Other than that, the Almighty never went to work and relied on playing games to earn money for his internet and meals. Towards Wang Pu's complaints, the Almighty didn't feel guilty at all. He continued to extend his hand. "Give me a cigarette, you win." Wang Pu took out half a pack of cigarettes and gave it to him. "I'll give you half. I'm a good friend, right?" The Almighty had played a game with Wang Pu before, so the two of them had some friendship. As for Wang Pu's generosity, the Almighty snorted disdainfully. "Half a bag of Hongguo is considered loyal? Bullshit." Wang Pu was fuming. He wanted to take the cigarette back, but the Almighty had already slipped it into his pocket. He even had one in his mouth. F***ck. Wang Pu retracted his hand resentfully. He held the mouse pad and opened the browser. At the same time, he logged into his QQ.DDD. The QQ avatar kept jumping. Wang Pu clicked on it one by one. He blacklisted those who swindled, borrowed money, and harassed him. He replied to a few messages from his friends. Finally, he opened the group chat of Lao by Group. Lao by Group was a large group of thousands of people. The composition of the hundreds of group members was very complicated. They ranged from doctors and professors to brick-moving workers. The only thing they had in common was that, like Wang Pu, they were all lovers of online novels. And they had a long reading age. Wang Pu was 25 years old this year. He had been reading online novels for 10 years. When he was in junior high school, he began to rent pirated books. He could read a book for 50 cents for a few days. Later, he found books online. It could be said that he had read countless books. For the current Wang Pu, reading online novels was the greatest joy he could obtain with the least amount of money. What he read on the internet was genuine, and he was a VIP subscriber that he could be proud of. However, most of his subscription coins were obtained through various activities on the book website, as well as the red packets sent by rich readers. It was just that recently, Wang Pu found that this happiness was becoming more and more difficult to obtain. It wasn't a matter of money. He still had a lot of subscription coins in his accounts on several big websites. It was just that there were fewer and fewer books that he could read and his appetite. This was the greatest sorrow of a Lao-bai reader like Wang Pu. The more books he read, the higher his requirements would be. He could not accept those novels with rough writing, excessive fantasies, and serious routines. However, most of the websites were filled with such books. Wang Pu was helpless. He even thought about writing one himself. As a result, after writing thousands of words, he realized that writing a book was a very difficult thing. There were a lot of ideas in his head, but the text that came out through the keyboard was extremely awkward. He felt very embarrassed when he looked at it, so he could only give up. The problem of the lack of books couldn't be solved. Everyone, please recommend some books. It's best if it's new. I've basically read all the old books. Wang Pu shouted in the group, there's no more books to read. 10,000 tons of copper balls. Me too. I've been reading old books recently, and they're all wonderful ones. What the hell are they now? 8 Wilderness Demon Slayer is not bad. I strongly recommend it. I've just read it. It's not bad in Xianxia. I'm keeping it. I'm reading Midnight Tomb Watcher. It's very scary. The group members were all talking at once, recommending more than 10 books. However, Wang Pu was very disappointed, because these books were either ones he had already read or ones he didn't like. Wang Pu liked fantasy, xianxia, and historical online novels. Just as he was about to close the chat box and search on the website, a member with the ID, Old Bookworm, said, I'm reading The Smiling, Proud Wanderer. It's very interesting. I recommend it to everyone. He also attached an address link. Wang Pu clicked on the address and opened the new book recommended by Old Bookworm. The Smiling, Proud Wanderer. The title was not bad. At least it wasn't some demon god emperor tyrannical dragon. Hopefully there would be a surprise. There were quite a few people in the Old White group, and there were many like Wang Pu who clicked on the address link. Everyone was lacking in books. Soon, someone complained in the group, oh my god, wuxia? Isn't that an antique? Only 70,000 words. How can we bear to destroy such a young seedling? It hasn't even signed a contract yet, and the numbers are too low. Is it really a good book? Old Bookworm, are you recommending yourself? Recommending myself +1. To be honest, Wang Pu also suspected that Old Bookworm was recommending himself or a friend. The book he recommended was not only not signed a contract, but also had a low word count and poor results. If it was really a good book, then wouldn't the editor of Waves Books have made a mistake? Hundreds of clicks, dozens of bookmarks, on a big website like Waves Books, he really couldn't fail again. Wang Pu had been in an author's group before, so he had some understanding of the online literature circle. And this wuxia theme was really out of the mainstream. The works in Waves Books were divided into fantasy, xianxia, urban, history, online games, sports, military, science fiction, supernatural, and so on. There was also a custom genre. The so-called custom genre allowed the author to define their own works, such as fantasy, sadomasochism, superscience, and so on. Basically, they were all niche and imaginative works. The Smiling, the Proud Wanderer, recommended by Old Bookworm, was in the custom genre, and the author defined it as wuxia. Wuxia, in Wang Pu's impression, was really an antique novel. He vaguely remembered that when he was a child, he seemed to have read a book about a sword. It seemed to be written by a Xiangjiang author. Would this kind of book be the food that Old White liked? He subconsciously gave The Smiling, the Proud Wanderer a negative score in his heart. Old Bookworm explained in the group, it's really not recommending myself. I'm the food, you can read it yourself. Wang Pu thought that since he didn't have any books to read, it didn't matter if he contributed a few clicks to others. He would just consider it as supporting the newcomer. So he clicked to read the first chapter. Chapter 379. It was the spring season of the Southern Kingdom. The bluestone road stretched straight to the west gate. In front of a magnificent mansion, there was a flagpole about 20 feet high on both sides of the stone altar, with green flags fluttering at the top. In front of a magnificent mansion, there was a flagpole about 20 feet high on both sides of the stone altar, with green flags fluttering at the top. On the flag on the right, there was a majestic lion embroidered with yellow silk thread. The flag fluttered in the wind, making the lion look even more lively. Wang Pu habitually lit a cigarette and glanced at the text displayed on the screen. Unlike many web readers who were used to reading 10 lines at a glance, Wang Pu often read books in detail, especially the opening chapters of new books, which he would read very seriously. Because he believed that the beginning of a book could reflect the skill of an author. If the beginning was good enough, he would have the confidence to keep reading. If the beginning was not good enough, there was no need to waste time. This was the tragedy of Lao Bai. If he was an amateur reader, he wouldn't care at all. He could eat anything if he had a good appetite. Different from Lao Bai, who had a sense of superiority, Wang Pu wouldn't sneer at the amateur readers, because Lao Bai used to be an amateur. Instead, he envied the latter for having so many books to read. And without the support of a large number of amateur readers, web novels wouldn't have developed to such a scale today. The beginning of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer gave Wang Pu a good feeling. It didn't have the plot of destroying heaven and earth, transmigration, reincarnation, or a very traditional style. The writing was excellent, and the words could catch people's attention. The most important thing was that there were no typos. This made Wang Pu feel very comfortable and gave him a reason to continue reading. As he read deeper, Wang Pu found that the Jianghu described in the book was very fresh to him. Although there was no dynasty background, it was completely different from the empires and dynasties in the popular fantasy novels. It gave him the feeling of reading an unofficial historical novel. Unconsciously, Wang Pu was drawn in. His mood fluctuated with the experiences of the protagonist, Lin Pingji, until the appearance of Brother Linghu in the mouth of the little nun, Yi Lin. This was not the style. This very long narration vividly showed the image of a brave and resourceful chivalrous man, which was exciting and made people clap the table and applaud. It was exactly the style of the protagonist. In comparison, the previous protagonist, Lin Pingji, was a far cry. It was a big taboo for a supporting role to be more outstanding than the main character. Wang Pu couldn't help but worry. He didn't know what would happen next. However, just as he was about to reach the itch, he was shocked to find that it was gone. No more. How could it be gone? It just hadn't been updated yet. Holy sh**t. Wang Pu couldn't help but curse out loud. As a result, the cigarette in his mouth fell down along with the long ash, falling right onto his pants. Holy sh**t. F***ck me. Wang Pu patted it a few times in a flurry. Fortunately, the cigarette had already been extinguished and did not burn his pants. What are you looking at? Why are you so excited? Almighty, who was sitting next to him, peeked over and asked curiously. Wang Pu shook his pants and said with a smile, "It's a novel written by a real god. Do you want to read it?" Almighty shrugged, looking disinterested. He only liked to play games. Reading novels is so boring. Come and play, fairy and devil, with me. It's fun. I'll carry you. Wang Pu glanced at his screen in disdain and said, "It's this kind of scam money-free online game again. I won't fall for it. I don't have that much energy." Wang Pu had played a few online games before. They were all said to be free, but in reality, it was impossible to play without spending money. He wasn't like Almighty, who relied on playing games to earn money. Where would he have the time and energy to be tortured? Wang Pu didn't bother with Almighty anymore. He put his attention back on the new book. He left a comment in the comments section, "Good book. Work hard to update it. I'll definitely subscribe to all of it after it's published." He thought for a while, then clenched his teeth and selected a reward of 588 book coins. Although this amount of book coins wasn't much, it was really not easy for Wang Pu, a veteran reader. He came from an ordinary family. He worked in Jiangcheng and had to send money back every month. Subscribing to all of the original books was the greatest support Wang Pu could give to an author. Normally, he wouldn't donate much unless it was a work that he really liked. He liked the first few tens of thousands of words of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer. Other than leaving a reward, Wang Pu also went to the group to promote the book. The Smiling, Proud Wanderer recommended by Old Bookworm is really good. I personally recommend it. The replies from the group members were very quick. Give me a link. I'll read it. If I don't like it, I'll slap old Wang to death. I read it just now. It's not bad. I feel like the style is more towards physical publishing. I don't like this theme. I gave up after reading a bit. Little White is not a white. It's a bit too traditional. I don't like it either. I have high hopes for this book. The author is very capable. Recommend it too. Many people in the group had read The Smiling, Proud Wanderer because of Old Bookworm's recommendation. Some liked it, some didn't, but overall, the positive comments overwhelmed the negative ones. For the veteran readers, who were difficult to please, this was already very good. But Wang Pu was not satisfied. He thought this book should be strongly supported. So he went to other readers' groups and reading forums to recommend this book to other readers. The Smiling, Proud Wanderer was not good in waves. It didn't even have 60,000 to 70,000 words. The editor must have made a mistake. Wang Pu didn't want such a good book to be buried. Many capable authors gave up because of the poor performance in the first few chapters. Wang Pu didn't want to see the author named Memory of Present and Past to suffer the same fate. He even wanted to persuade the author to change to another website. If the East was not bright, the West was bright. And with Wang Pu's efforts to recommend, the data of The Smiling, Proud, and Proud Wanderer in Inspire books has increased significantly. The number of clicks, recommendations, and collections all climbed, especially the number of collections, which quickly rose from dozens to more than 200. Correspondingly, the comments in the book reviews section also increased. Several readers gave their support and rewards. Compared to the popular new books on the website, this result was not worth mentioning. But compared to the previous dismal results, it was undoubtedly a little better. But at this moment, Lu Chen hadn't tasted this feeling yet. He was secretly with Chen Fei, to a local movie theater in Jinling to watch his first movie. The name of the movie was The Great Han Emperor. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.